Hi everyone, if you like historical fashion, you probably know historical fashion designer Angela Clayton. I remember that it was her video about historical clothing that I had ever seen on YouTube. And when I saw her name on this pattern, I couldn't resist and I bought it. So this video will be about how I set this dress according to Angela Clayton's pattern. At first, I tried to find a video about this dress on her YouTube channel, but I didn't find it. Never mind, the instruction in the manual will suffice. I was pleasantly surprised that I also received instruction in German and French, which is nice. Moreover, the technical procedure was briefly and clearly written. As fabric, I used 5 meters of taffeta of this beautiful purple color, and for lining, I use as usually white cotton fabric. First, I lay down all pattern pieces on the fabric and I cut out all pieces. Then I repeat the same procedure and I cut out all bodice pieces for lining. After I cut out all pattern pieces, I gather the bodice front along lines and then I sew the bodice front lining at the center front. To create casing for boning, I sew down the seam allowances along each side of center seam. Then I inserted boning to the tunnels and I basted all raw edges of front and lining front with wrong sides together. And then I pin and sew bodice side to front. To save some time, I bought black velvet piping, but if you want, you can make your own one. You can make it from contrasting fabric following the pattern instruction. I pin pipe and string on the right side of the front upper edge and I place stitching just inside the seam line. I baste it and then I pin yoke to the front and I sew it together. Then I continue and with the same technique I gradually sew all parts of the bodice. At the end I baste the piping at neck edge and lower edge of the bodice and I stitch it along seam lines. Now I set the bodice aside and I started to make the sleeves. First, I gathered the upper part of the sleeve ruffle and then I made narrow hem turning the raw edges inside and I stitched it with whip stitches. The instructions do not say how to make the hem, but I always use whip stitches so that the stitches are not visible on the right side. With right sides together, I sew sleeve ruffle and lower sleeve together. Lower sleeve and sleeve ruffle I sew together at side. Then I baste the piping to lower and upper edges of the upper sleeve and I sew the gathered sleeve ruffle to lower edge of the upper sleeve. An upper sleeve and sleeve ruffle I sew together at side. I pin wrong side of the upper sleeve to the right side of the lower sleeve and then I baste it, and after that I sew in sleeve to the armhole. Now back to the lining. I'll sew all lining pieces together similarly to a bodice, obviously without piping. Then I pin and sew tunnels for boning to wrong side of the back lining. I clip the seam allowances of the lining where it was necessary, and with the right sides together, I sew lining to bodice, and after that I turn lining to inside. Now let's focus on skirt. Here I made a big mistake. In instruction I mentioned parts for the skirt as the back and front part. So I cut only two parts, one front and one back, but the skirt was not wide at all. Unfortunately, I found out too late, in a moment when it was no longer possible to fix it. When I look closer at cutting layout, I think, if I understood correctly, that the skirt should be sewn from 3 parts and not from 2, but it's not very well written there. I sewed the skirt front and back at sides with a French seam, leaving one seam open around 20 cm from waistline for center back opening. With the right sides together, I sewed continuous lap to back opening and then I drew the lap inside and I sewed it with whip stitches. I got a skirt along waistline and with wrong sides together, I sewed waistband stay to skirt. I adjusted gathers and I stitched it close to lower edge. I left lower edge of bodice of a skirt and I used whip stitches to separate it together. Then I sewed on hooks and eyes on the center back of dress. At the end, I made a double folded hem on the bottom edge of skirt. I folded the fabric over on itself to wrong side 2 times and I sewed it with stitches. And that's all. I'm happy how the dress looks like, except for the skirt, which due to my stupidity is not so wide as it should be. So thanks for watching the video. I hope it will help and inspire you to create your own Victorian dress. And if you want to, you can subscribe my channel to see more of my videos. Thank you and bye!